Are we going?
No. Something came on.
Is that on? Okay. Okay, good morning, everyone. Yeah. Does everyone hear me in the audience? Okay, perfect. So welcome to day 2 of the Agora stage. And this morning we're kicking off day 2 with another Cassini matchmaking session, this time focused on the downstream sector. And to introduce our session, I have with us here Justina Radokiewicz, who is head of Cassini at USPA. So Justina, please.
Thank
The floor
you.
is yours.
Thank you. So I see some faces I don't know, which is good. So welcome to our Cassini matchmaking. I'm representing here the European Union Agency for the Space Program, USPA. We are based in Czech Republic, in Prague. This is where our headquarters is, but we operate in all Europe and help companies and startups in all EU member states. So at USPA, we are helping companies to introduce satellite technologies. So we are not only working with startups that we support directly with funding, acceleration programs, and so on, but we also work with big companies that would like to start using satellite technologies and they don't know how, they don't know where to start. And we work also with investors, with venture capital companies, with private equity companies, and help them again to set this space area in their portfolio of companies, understand making initiative, where the startup companies that are supported by Cassini can present themselves and connect with potential partners, investors, and maybe potential customers. So today we have a very nice lineup of 5 companies from space downstream. We started yesterday with other 5 companies from upstream. You can see them in the Cassini matchmaking program. If you are still interested to connect to some of the ones presenting yesterday, you can reach out to us and we will help you to do so. And also, if you have any questions on how to engage, you have a business from non-space, please come to us and we will try to bring space to your life. So without further ado, I will give the floor to our companies.
Thanks so much, Justina. Hi everyone, my name's Florentina. I'll be taking us through the session for today. So you'll see here we have 5 of our companies eager to pitch, but before they do, I wanted to take you through a little bit about what Cassini is and all the different ways in which innovators and entrepreneurs can get involved. So you'll see on the screen here we have quite a number of activities. Brand new are the Cassini Space Camps. So this is for students that are between the ages of 14 and 18. They get the opportunity to go into a week-long camp and learn all about space. In addition, we have the EU Space Academy, and now this is a free MOOC for everyone who wants to go and learn about the different space technologies as well as the business knowledge around it. So if you have an idea and you're thinking, I don't know where to start, this is a fantastic place to go. We have our hackathons and mentoring as well. So this is every year we have 2 hackathons. They take place in 10 different locations at the same time around Europe. And then from those, if you've got a great idea, you can actually go and enter the Cassini challenges. So this is an innovation competition for companies that have ideas, prototypes or products, and there are cash prizes that are available for people, for the winners. After that, we have a 6-month business accelerator. Now there are 2 of those every year, and companies that are selected into that business accelerator receive a €75,000 seed voucher and have access to mentoring and some great training available to accelerate the growth of their businesses. And of course, we're here today with the Cassini matchmaking. So we have quite a large community of space companies that are looking to meet investors or corporate partners as a part of the wider community attending these different events. We have a large investor network as well, and they're engaged predominantly with the matchmaking, but they also come and join us at a number of these events. And our flagship event, the Cassini Entrepreneurship Days, happen every year. This year hopefully a bit later in October. So that's a little bit about Cassini.
Thank you. Oh, you can hear me? Yeah, perfect. All right. So hi, my name is Morten Fjord Petersen, and I'm a co-founder of Clear Sky Vision. So satellite imagery is an essential tool at this point for agriculture, forestry, environmental monitoring, and many other industries actually. And programs like Copernicus have profoundly expanded our ability to understand our planet at scale. However, anyone who has actually worked with optical satellite images would know that it's not exactly like Google Maps. Cloud cover is an obstacle that you have to deal with, both in hassle and the limitation for optical satellite images. So cloud cover leaves gaps in the images. It delays timely insights, and overall, kind of these things are very critical for all of these industries actually using optical satellite imagery. So at Clear Sky Vision, we're addressing these challenges through advanced AI-driven data fusion. So rather than rely on a single satellite constellation, we are intelligently merging satellites from various constellations, up to 12 different satellites depending on the region. So that of course means using Sentinel-2 data. It means using NASA data like Landsat data, cloud penetrating radar data of course, low-res multispectral Sentinel-3 data that is daily in Europe at least. Individually, each of these satellites has limitations, so they can't provide you with consistent coverage all year round. But fused together, these satellites can provide a very comprehensive view of our planet. But data fusion isn't just about clearing clouds. The real value lies in the intersection of flexibility, composability, compatibility, and accessibility to optical satellite data. As we see here in a case from Brazil, where there's just less cloud penetrating SAR imagery available, we use the data that is available in a given region, and there is like an abundance of optical data in Brazil due to deforestation-related purposes. So the Clear Sky platform is really about using the data that is available wherever we are in the world, essentially. So we try to fuse data, and that for commercial satellite operators here today, that could include your satellites. Again, your satellites on your terms, and data that's been captured for other purposes might have a value for a single satellite image contains many things. It could be customers in agriculture, forestry, even though it's captured for a different purpose, essentially. So just to take a real life scenario here. So with deforestation monitoring. So cloud-free and frequent imagery is very essential for deforestation purposes, because the cloudiest region on Earth is not exactly in the cold and rainy north. It's near equator, precisely where deforestation is happening. So with frequent cloud-free imagery, authorities, forest companies can quickly respond to the changes when they're happening, rather than half a year later or a few months later being like, something changed here. And here we're seeing both deforestation and forest fires in Bolivia, I mean. So there is a couple of key benefits here with data fusion. One is higher accuracy, because you're not relying on a single satellite. It's easy integration of multi-source data, as you can get it in the format you're already using. So this part is about composability and compatibility and interoperability between satellites, essentially. And just more comprehensive decision making, because you can utilize 12 different satellites rather than just a few, which clouded true color images. Some of the higher wavelength can sometimes penetrate cloud cover, even though there's definitely still issues. SAR imagery easily penetrates cloud cover. However, it lacks the richness that multispectral imagery provides. And Clear Sky Vision provides the best of these worlds through advanced AI-driven data fusion, where we give our customers flexible revision speeds from these satellites, higher than what's normally available from a single satellite. And we use the available data that is for a given region. So it's about getting more use out of the satellites that are already in orbit. And there is a lot of satellites, but not enough. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much, Morten. So this is an interactive session. We encourage you to ask questions. We have a second microphone here as well. Oh, we've already got one. From a familiar face by the looks of it.
Yes, hello everybody. I'm Max from Constellar. A quick question, Morten, are you also including thermal data? Have you thought about including thermal data into the set?
That's a great question coming from a relevant person. We are, but only to the degree we're using Sentinel-3 and Landsat thermal data, which is low resolution, right, 100 meter resolution, which limits at least the agricultural use cases a bit. It's still, for our case, we use all the available bands, spectral bands, and that includes for some of these satellites thermal data, but it could include commercial thermal data as well, for sure.
So let's spend 5 minutes after the session to chat.
Max is here, so that's a super important event. Emmanuel Mondon, the challenge regarding AI fusion is related to the way you are representing it. Are you using DGGS?
No.
Distributed grid?
No, we aren't. No. We build our own platform for this. I know. Why can I ask why the question?
Yeah, because for me DGGS is a super interesting way, interoperable way, because that's an OGC specification, to offer what you're doing in a comprehensive and open way, being AI ready. But after Max, let's speak together.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, Emmanuel. Morten, we were talking before and you mentioned you've got a few things in the pipeline, so I'm just wondering what's next for you.
Yeah, so a lot actually. We're kind of rebuilding our entire platform right now. The image you saw here was all produced like with Sentinel 2, level 2A data, so bottom atmosphere data. And among other things, next month we are rebuilding it all to producing level 1 data. And there's many different reasons for that. One is we can produce a more stable product. Bottom atmosphere correction algorithms are not super temporal stable, and they rely on more old-fashioned approaches for bottom atmosphere correction. So one of the reasons we are rebuilding it all now is to deliver a level 1 data, so top atmosphere data, and that is very useful for AI applications. So some of our customers are using our data already, and there are some instabilities just from producing level 2A data, so we can bottom atmosphere data. So one of the reasons right now we are kind of rebuilding it all to both use level 1 data from changes that are coming. Other than that, we just adding more satellites as fast as we can to get a more comprehensive service for our customers.
Great, thanks so much. So we'll move on to the next session, but I noticed there's a few people standing around, so if you want to take a moment and take a seat, feel free to do so. And also you'll see there is a little business card on your seats there, so fun fact, if you're wanting to learn more about Cassini, take this home with you. There is a QR code on the back, so it'll take you to a website where you'll get lots of great information. So next up we have Constellar and Adam.
Just organize myself real quick. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me fine?
Yes.
Okay, good. So thermal data was mentioned, and I'll continue that topic. I'm with Constellar, and I want to spark your interest in thermal data to tell a little bit more about its capabilities, how this data set differs than any other satellite imagery you are familiar with. And before that, let me just find out how do I operate this. Okay, there we are. So at first, maybe do a little rundown of who we are and what we do. Constellar is a German company with offices in Belgium, France. We have approximately 100 people on boards, and most importantly, we have an operational constellation. We spent last 7 years digging as much as we can in the thermal domain. That means we hired the brightest mind in this industry to our company. That means we were working with a lot of public institutions on open data sources. We sent our first sensor to the International Space Station, and in the end, we have designed, developed, and launched our payload into orbit fairly recently. And it took us 7 years for a reason, and the reason is that what we developed is really unique. The secret sauce lies in our radiometric calibration, which allows us to have an extremely high precision of the thermal accuracy. It means that we can capture the actual nominal measurements of the temperature with an extreme accuracy that's simply not available on the markets, whether this is from satellite data sources or other data sources. And this is where the secret sauce lies. In the picture you can see the image of our Skybe, which is the payload that I mentioned is already operational. The second launch will happen very soon, in just a matter of weeks. And so this is all cool tech. Now let's figure out what exactly can be done with the data. And I figured I'll show you 2 examples of the work we did for our customers. This is the first one. We're looking at images from Azur power plant in Kuwait, one of the biggest power plants in the world. And well, some conclusions come to mind immediately. I mean, we can see very strong heat signatures and heat patterns. So very quickly we can identify that certain units, certain generators, or certain pipelines are actually active. And for a lot of our customers, for a lot of our users, this is already an extremely valuable information. But because of the accuracy that I mentioned, we can go a step further and we can actually detect heat intensity. And that was. So not only identify whether a unit is active, only give you information on the activity and the volumes. The second example I wanted to show you is coming from a customer where we cannot really disclose much about them, nor about the locations. In this case, we are looking at an airport, let's just say outside of Europe, and the user we were working with had a very concrete intel that there is a construction happening underground. Due to the nature of the facility of the airport, there was no way of actually getting any insights on the site. And so satellites were the only resource you could use to detect that information. It just happens that around the perimeters that the customer gave us, we were able to detect extremely strong signatures as visible in the image. And with that, we were able to confirm the hypothesis that the customer gave us. A very kind of tangible use case again. And so this is it. Thermal gives you information that no other data set can. Naked eye cannot see information that are present on the image that I showed you. And I'd be more than happy to have a discussion with anyone after to tell you a little bit more about thermal data. Thank you for this.
Thanks so much, Adam. So question time. Has anyone got a question for Adam? Well, while you're thinking of one, I have one. So Constellar is a company that has been a part of the European innovation ecosystem or within space for quite some time. I'm curious, right. Adam, could you give us some insights into how the Commission and USPA and Cassini in general as well has supported Constellar over the years?
Right. Indeed, we are part of the wider EU ecosystem for some time now. I do believe that we are extremely European company at the core. And so Cassini and has been instrumental for us from the very beginning. I think the big success came in 2023 when we became one of Copernicus contributing missions, which essentially allow us to, well, disseminate our data with some of the big institutions out there. This process is ongoing, and we also have high hopes that it will continue. But it's been an extremely important step in our kind of commercial pathway. And Cassini and the Cassini team was extremely important in that journey. So we are thankful for that.
Thanks. In the meantime, any other questions for Adam? I'm sure they're saving them for afterwards. I'm just going to give you another fun fact, but the Cassini Matchmaking also has 3 companies exhibiting today. So after the session and all the way up until the end of the EU Space Days, you can pop over there and have a chat to some of the companies that are part of the program. So next up, we have Mathieu from Ever Impact.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Emissions, because when we talk about space, we can actually measure greenhouse gas emissions. And Ever Impact is a French company, and we're on a mission to become a leading network of data and of greenhouse gas emissions data every 100 meters, every hour, anywhere in the world. And when we talk about data, it is at the core of our mission at Ever Impact to focus on measurements, because at the moment a lot of data is based on estimates, and we're really focusing on measurements. So I will show you a little bit more how we do this in a few minutes. Perhaps just about the company, we are a French company, 15 people, and with offices in Paris, Copenhagen in Denmark, and last year we opened a daughter company in Tokyo, where we've been invited by the government of Tokyo to open a subsidiary and receive financing for 4 years to expand in the Japanese market. And at the core, we also very EU company, been supported by EU Commission in different ways, initially through grants, and over the years we've also received investments from 3 EU investment funds. So our DNA is very much EU and Japan combination. And perhaps a bit about the DNA also of the company. We used to be in the United Nations, the founders, created the first satellite agency in the UN called UNOSAT. That's one of our founders. We had another founder working with a big UN agency. And so about 10 years ago, we saw the importance of bringing data about greenhouse gas emissions because, as we all know, climate change is a big topic and a big challenge. And in order to solve it, we need good data. So what we're doing is to combine satellite data that we take from different satellites from NASA and ESA. And we combine it with data from the ground, sensors. So we have we tap into existing infrastructure, of course, in space and on the ground. There is about 11,000 sensors on the ground about air quality that we can tap into. But we also have deployed 115 sensors all over Europe in the past 5 years, in cities like Dijon in France, in London, Birmingham, in Orléans, on buses. So we're really trying to capture data on the ground to complement what's out there from the public sector. We have now reshaped some industries in how they measure greenhouse gas emissions. We've compared how they currently report emissions and how we measured in situ. And we have already 2 key good results. The first one is monitoring emissions from ships with Mitsubishi, where we compared how they report emissions and how we actually measure in the exhaust stack, in the funnel, and we found a difference of 10%. And these are very tests in the city of Dijon for 3 years, where we have about 70 plus sensors mapping the whole city, and where the city has accepted to compare with the data they report, which is quite of a big achievement. And the city reports about 2 million tons per year, 800,000 tons per year, and we measured 2 million tons. And it's not to point fingers at the city of Dijon, but it's more to say that the way cities are reporting the framework and the methodologies are actually not that accurate. And all the data we see out there, it's a good start, it's great, but there's too much estimates, and we need measurements in order to be accurate, and also in order to reduce emissions. And that's the key goal, right? So the network, we are trying to expand it, and it takes shape into a data platform to measure greenhouse gas emissions anywhere. And we try to bring a grid of 100 meters at a 95% level of accuracy. It allows us to identify the sources of emissions, so we can see if it's from a road, if it's from trees, if it's from residential buildings, commercial buildings, and we're really trying to bring that accuracy as a way to find hotspots and reduce more emissions. And more we link it also to climate finance in different industries. Going forward, we are working, of course, to adapt to the AI changes that are happening at the moment, and trying to see how we can train a model on top of our data, because we believe, very good data on the ground, and try to bring it to the masses, to more companies out there to improve their carbon emissions. And we see this for Scope 3 emissions, if you know, emissions from supply chains, very complex, and so we're trying to tackle that problem as well. We have now, I told you, we're reshaping how industries are measuring emissions, starting with maritime. We spent 3 years developing a sensor that goes into the funnel of the ships. We got, after 3 years and lots of efforts, we invested €1 million for that. we got the first certification from DNV, which is the body that certifies the reporting to the EU. And we're very pleased because since we got that certification in December, we're signing contracts with the key shipping companies like MSC, Mediterranean Shipping Company. We have Mitsui USK Lines in Japan, Mitsubishi, and we also received an investment from shipping companies, so which is really supporting our work. We are starting to move also into ports and use satellite data to measure ports as well. So maritime is becoming a big customer segment for us. The second one is forestry, where we have a big program in Japan, where we are monitoring the absorption, the sequestration of trees in forest in Japan, together with Hitachi Systems and municipal governments, and creating the first satellite monitoring methodology approved outside of the US, replacing manual monitoring with lasers in forest, and urban mobility. We are monitoring cities and working in more cities to track emissions with sensors and satellites, and bring accuracy. So that's about us. Happy to answer any questions you may have after and have a chat, of course. Always happy to talk about emissions. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Mathieu. Do we have any questions from the audience? One coming from Max.
Super interesting product. Two questions actually. The first one is, you're using a lot of ground sensors, right? But they're not evenly distributed across the globe, right? They're probably good availability in Europe, I would assume, in Northern America too. If you go to other parts of the globe, probably less so. It's the first question. How do you handle that? This, like, let's say, discrepancy in distribution. And the other question is, there are programs like GHGSat, for example, are using their commercial data too, or is this too costly? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so actually, in terms of distribution, we started with working with NASA, who had launched the first satellite to monitor CO2 emissions. And what we saw there is that there was not enough data in terms of frequency, and also into the grid, the resolution was too coarse. So we started to deploy sensors for specific use cases for our customers. So initially, we have a customer says we have this site or these assets to monitor. We put sensors, we put satellite, and we have very good tracking there. Now we've done it, as I mentioned, we have 115 sensors all over Europe, and these are for specific use cases. So in terms of accuracy and distribution, it's very good, like we're mapping very well the customer use cases. And we are indeed trying now to do different investments into AI, into cube satellites, to improve the distribution to many other use cases without having to deploy for a specific customer. So imagine deploying some sensors in Japan and being able to serve all the different companies there with a limited number of sensors on the ground. And we also invested into a first CubeSat to monitor greenhouse gas emissions as well. So we started very local and specific for use cases, and we're trying to expand to globally through AI and satellite data. But this is more in the next 5 years. It's a vision for the company, and it's going to take us some steps to get there. And we are also trying to bring partners more and more as well. So work in progress.
Thanks so much, Mathieu. We still have two more pictures coming up, so we're going to move on to Gopika from Marble Imaging.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Gopika Suresh. I'm one of the co-founders of Marble Imaging, and thank you. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing. We're a German company. We're based in Britain, 15 employees, and I'll tell you about what we do in a second. What we do is we are delivering real-time insights through space-based intelligence. There's a lot of talk about how we need European sovereignty when it comes to time-critical events, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're empowering you to make the right decisions faster than ever. I don't need to tell you all that in today's day and age, global challenges, global crises require global data and rapid action. be it natural hazards, be it wildfires in LA, be it floods in Spain, be it the geopolitical situation right now, or the lack of data because American providers are not supplying commercial very high resolution data anymore. All of this has shown Europe how dependent we are on the US, how slow certain delivery systems are, and how getting actionable insights is currently impractical. When we talk about the big players in the commercial, very high resolution EO world, Consular is here, obviously, they're also on the map, but you'll say, there was a lot of talk also yesterday about there's so much of data around there, and this is the data provided in the commercial section. So you see there's a lot of providers, there's a lot of data out there, but it becomes pretty lonely when you look at European providers in the very high resolution domain, and we're talking about less than 1 meter resolution in the multispectral domain. Everybody's worked with Airbus, they have radar and multispectral capabilities, and Marble Imaging is out there together with GOVSAT, which is a Portuguese company. And that's exactly what we're trying to do with the only German company here in the very high resolution multispectral domain, and this is what we want to use to empower you in the next year. What do we want to do very concretely? This is what the satellite looks like. It's a small satellite, it's 130 kilos, it's a washing machine size satellite. And obviously with one satellite we cannot give you hourly revisits. The vision is to have 20 satellites in the next 4 years so that we can then give you hourly revisits over Europe. However, our first satellite that will deliver 50 centimeter resolution data is already fully financed thanks to the ESA InCube program and thanks to DLR. The DLR is the German Aerospace Center, and our payload is being developed by Scanway Space. You can actually go and see a model of the payload there in the POLSA section. And the platform is being developed by Reflex Aerospace. So it's really a European constellation developing European capabilities here. We have then the data that we provide, so we are the satellite operators, we're the data providers and the analytics providers. And when we talk about analytics, we basically are currently having 3 products that target huge market shares. So we have a product that can detect object and change using AI, and this is essential for any kind of time security or time sensitive issue, especially interesting for global security and geopolitical crises. We have a trafficability assessment tool that gives you information about terrain, where can I drive, what kind of soil is load bearing, and this is especially interesting for the defense sector and for autonomous driving. And then for climate security, we have a tool that looks at climate change on the coastal areas, identification of suspicious activities, all of that. So I have a booth out there. If you want to know more about the products, I'll be very happy to tell you about it. But currently we also have first customers. We have a customer pipeline of more than 40 customers with the total volume of 30 million euros. And today actually, it's a secret, don't tell anybody, but we're having a negotiation meeting, strategic partners in different countries that are really helping us leverage the ecosystem that we have here. In France, we have a strong collaboration with Space Founders. We are an alumni of Space Founders, and Space Founders is supported by CNES. And you know that France has a very heavy defense fund that they've allocated now. So there we're very well aligned. We have a strong partnership with CNES. In Denmark, we have a very strategic partnership with Rovsing, which again allows us to tap into the funds that they have now secured for securing the Arctic. And in Poland, obviously, we have Scanway as our strategic partner, and that also allows us to tackle the challenges that are currently being addressed in Poland. We are not fresh from university, we are from the industry. We've been here for the last 14, 15 years, so we have decades of experience. Our CEO, Robert, he worked for OHB for the last 10 years. I myself work for the German government, I work for DLR, I work for EUMETSAT, so I've been around. You've probably seen me at some event or the other. And the other 2 co-founders are also from the industry, and we are supported by 10 other very capable people in our team. And we have a lot to do because the first satellite is going to be launched next year. So come talk to me at the booth or send me a message. I'm very happy to talk about how we can work together because everybody needs very high resolution data today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kropika. Have we got some questions from the audience?
They're all waiting to come find me there.
Yeah, I know, you teased it already. There's one from Max again.
Just came here to ask questions. So, really interesting product. What's your take on companies like Albedo, which are going down to 10 centimeter in very low Earth orbit? What's the difference between 50 and 10 centimeters? And I know the mathematics behind there, but can you give use cases where you say, "Hi, that's where it stops, and that's where it begins," maybe?
Great question, and this is something also we get asked a lot by investors. So albedo is in the very, very low Earth range, which means that they don't have a very good lifetime. They have a lifetime of probably 1 year at max. When we talk to especially people interested in time-critical events, they say 50 centimeters and better is what is required. In fact, at the most recent CCM presentation, ESA also established that we need 50 centimeter data or anything better. So our take on there is to optimize the hourly revisits. So we're having, with the 20 satellites, we'll have, at least over Europe, hourly revisits, and we would have the tasking capability and a longer lifetime. So when we then go to 200 satellites, we have global coverage in hours.
And last question, maybe follow on, what's your swath?
10 kilometers.
That's also a big advantage.
And we have a 6-meter sphere band, which is very interesting for Consular, and I want to talk to you about it.
Yeah, sure, let's talk.
Great, thanks so much. So we have one final company who will be pitching, and I'll ask if you can hand over and press the green button for me. A bit of teamwork happening. Fantastic.
Perfect.
So we have Joel from Syntony GNSS who will be pitching to us today.
Yeah. Hi, so I'm Joel. I'm leading and founded Syntony GNSS. So we are the only ones who are not doing imaging today. We are safety, obviously. Probably everybody knows that not far from this country there are some people who are jamming GPS and Galileo, and today receivers who cannot support jamming are a problem. I have a distributor here in Poland. He told me that so in the area of Gdańsk, some very precise receivers are working for the naval construction, and some hours each week, during at least 1 hour, maybe more, they are not working anymore because of the jamming. So it makes millions of euros of lost, and then this is one of the reasons for which company like us exist. Obviously, in Europe you have Septentrion, who is very famous, doing their good receivers. You have ST Micro, but we started our company with one keyword, which is software-defined radio technology, which means developing receivers and simulator in full software. As long as you have a full software receiver, you can improve it every year, adapt to what you know from the jamming and the spoofers, and obviously you can move much quicker in order to be efficient compared to ASIC, which cost millions of euros to design new generations. So this is our receiver activity. We have also a test and measurement activity, but the last point also subwave concerned underground location system based on GNSS, so GPS and Galileo. Why is it useful to make GPS work inside underground tunnels, for example, subways? The main reason is to bring location to firemen, and more generally to safety people who want to locate you if you are, for example, in a tunnel when there is a fire. So we installed our system, for example, in Tunnel du Mont Blanc, so which is in the Alps, French Alps, obviously. They had a very big accident between 20 and 30 years ago, and people were stuck in their cars. They could not. They may be able at that time to call the rescue, but they could not say, "I am here" or "here." They did not have any location system. So this is one of the reason, the biggest reason for which subwave is used by our customer. But just some focus on our receiver. Thanks to the software-defined radio technology, obviously we can adapt them very quickly. For example, we are just right now working for ESA on the prototype of LEO PNT. So I don't have the time to explain. this project. But anyway, we are the constellation. We have also some very important receiver, as I said, in the anti-jamming domain. And I am not here only speaking from defense. For example, we are discussing with the main civil aircraft manufacturer here in Europe, because the same when they are landing in Lithuania, in Poland, so you can guess where, not far from Israel and so on. So their GPS or their Galileo do not work, and now they, until today they never had the possibility to have anti-jamming receiver, and we are testing receivers on board of civil aircraft with them. How does our underground GPS and Galileo location system work? So we are installing simulators. We have patented the way we are doing it, and we achieve a quite high performance. For example, we can go better than 1 meter precision, even with standard GPS L1 or Galileo E1. Thanks to this, again, we installed the Tunnel du Mont Blanc this year. We will install SFMTA, which is the metro of San Francisco. Also next year, we deployed also very first tunnel in Hong Kong, very first tunnel also in Sydney. So everybody now is saying, okay, outdoor, I can be in relative safety because I will be located by my car, by my train, or by my smartphone. But it's not acceptable anymore not to be located precisely, underground. So everybody around the world is now deploying this. So just the last word, we are installed in Toulouse and also in the US. We are 70 people. We should reach around 10 million euro turnover this year. We have 3 investors, 1 French VC, 1 English, and 1 American. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Joel. I know personally I get a bit nervous going through tunnels, so good to know that that's out there. So that brings us to the end of our session today. We would normally have a little bit of networking time, but because we started just a bit late, we are at time and the next session is going to start right here. So what I would recommend is if you would like to speak to the founders, we'll just move over toward the 3 Cassini stands over there. So please feel free to follow us. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this session today, and we'll talk to you soon.
So the next session will start in maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So if you want to attend the session on skills development, sit tight. We're just going to get set up here.
So where do I sit? Ah, yes. Okay, so we are full. You know what? We will sit here. So we just get rid of a chair because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, just initially. Yeah. Don't work. So I'll do that. Voila.
And you'll want to wear them like that. This way I'll let you know when we have.
Okay, that's fine.
You guys ready?
Please, take a seat wherever you want. This is you? Okay. You have to put it, yes, because it's live stream, so.
But it would look weird if you have the man outside.
Yeah.
Make a melange.
Yeah. Okay, great. So.
Hello?
I think it works.
Yes.
Yes.
It's on.
Perfect.
We're good. And can everyone hear us in the audience? You okay? All right. So we're going to go ahead and start our session on skills, and more specifically the emerging need for skills, right, in the space sector. And moderating our session today is Maria Vittoria Dinzeo, who is Policy Officer at the European Commission. So, Mavi, I hand the floor over to you.
Thank you so much. I'm very pleased that you pronounced my surname very correctly, so thanks again.
I practiced.
Fantastic. Great job. Kudos. Good morning, everyone, to the audience here. Thank you for being here, and thank you for all those that are listening to us online, because this is a live stream event. I'm here today to moderate the session on career opportunities and skill development. And I'm joined today by some representatives from different organizations, different entities. I wouldn't like to present them myself, so if you can make a quick tour of the table. So starting with Joanna.
Yes, hello everyone. There was a change in representative from our university, so I'm not Marcin. I'm
Obviously.
My name is Joanna Pyrkosz-Pacyna. I'm a Vice Dean for Development and Cooperation at AGH University at the new faculty, actually very new, 2 months old, Faculty of Space Technologies, very first I think in Poland and maybe even in Europe. So happy to be here and to talk about education in space.
Thanks a lot. We go with Regina.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Regina Kozyra. I'm the founder of Skyvory Consulting, and I'm a space market expert. I am also a mentor of the Cassini hackathons and learning platform, and also more mature startups. So also very happy to be here and discuss such an important topic.
Thank you very much for joining us. Zoltan.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Zoltan Hafner. I'm a business development manager at Remred Ltd from Budapest, Hungary. I consider myself a young professional. I only started working in the space industry officially a little over a year ago, and before that we founded a university rocketry team. So the topic that we are about to discuss today is really close to my heart, and I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you, Zoltan. And finally, Annabelle.
Thank you, Mavi. My name is Annabelle Egert, and I'm a senior consultant at Novaspace. And we are an implementing partner of the Cassini initiative. And for example, I'm also working on the Cassini space camps, the Cassini hackathons and mentoring. And I also have a part in the EU Space Academy learning platform where Regina is also a mentor. And I'm very excited to be discussing the EU education and skills as my main projects just revolve around exactly that topic.
Thank you very much and welcome, and thank you for accepting to participate in the panel. So as you have all understood, we're going to talk about the skills dimension. So what are the career opportunities and the skills dimension in the space sector. As maybe some of you know, well, Europe is facing some challenges, most specifically when it comes to attracting and retaining talents in the space industry, because sometimes space is also not perceived as a very attractive sector. More and more workforce in the near future, still at present, but even more in the near future with a booming industry really across Europe, but all over the world, then there is really a need to act. And I think there is a role not only for the Commission to play, but for all the entities that are involved. Because what we like to think about when we think of the skills and education elements and policies is the ambition of the Union is really to create a culture of lifelong learning. Because again, skills and upskilling and reskilling does not stop at school or at high school or university. It goes on even for when you're a professional, because there is constant need for enhancing your knowledge and adapt it to the needs of the market, but also to somehow reskill your profession. For instance, if there are a situation in which there are sectors that are a bit more declining, and therefore the skills need to be transformed and adapted to, for instance, this skill sector. So maybe to kickstart the discussion, I would like each one of you to reflect on what do you think are the challenges that the space sector is facing when it comes to attracting and retaining the talents. We keep the order? Yeah. And again, if you could also reflect on what is your entity doing to fill in this gap.
Yeah.
Please.
I can only speak from my perspective, so academia. So I can see very clearly where's the gap. So the gap is that students obviously are very much interested in the sector. They love space. They are interested. They are engaged, but they don't see if there are any jobs available. They just think that there is NASA, maybe European Space Agency somewhere, but there are no jobs in the sector. This is a field for dreamers, and if you are a genius, maybe you can make it. So there is a huge job to do in terms of showing students and prospective graduates that there are actually many positions opening and for many variety of skill sets, right? So not only engineers, but also lawyers or people from logistics, people from dealing with sustainability. So there is many different vocations open in this sector, but the perception of young people is still very narrow. So we have some job to do to show them what is out there, what are the possibilities.
Yeah, thank you. I come back to you, Regina, because I would like to bring Zoltan in the discussion, because if I may, because the Commission has recently, let's say, set up a new initiative which is called the Space Career Launchpad, precisely to, create a one-stop. The
great.
University there has a big role to play, because
Definitely.
university has students that are going to need to come into the job market. So I will quickly jump to Zoltan, and so you come from a perspective of, first of all, young graduate, young professional, but that was also part of this university association, student association, and you're also representing here a bit of a company perspective and utilizing the Space Career Launchpad. So you have a lot to tell us, please.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I would like to connect to the idea that you just mentioned, that it's it was also mentioned during yesterday's panels in the main stage that it's not us who has to be persuaded, that has to be, because we already know the benefits, the everyday use of space industry, that we use it on our phone every day right now as well. It's those that are not familiar with this that has to be basically introduced to the space industry. So I believe it's our shared responsibility to make this possible. And as you also mentioned, that it's sort of like they have a narrow vision, although we live in a global world where basically we're connected to everyone and other. But I still feel that it's still looked upon. I mean, space industry, especially where countries, for example, where I come from Hungary, where I like to say we have an emerging space industry, and it's not really well known as of yet. And when I talk to people, like I work in the space industry, and they say like, no, you don't. Like, yeah, we have NASA, we have SpaceX, but no, in Hungary we don't, and they don't believe me. So I feel like it's our shared responsibility to change this.
Thank you, Zoltan. And on this, maybe the work has to be done probably from a younger age. Because again, I understand what you're saying. If I may, I didn't even know before I joined the space sector, I was thinking exactly the same thing. What is it? Space industry, space sector. So maybe I would like to bring into the discussion Annabelle, because of course as Nova Space, you're, as you also recalled, implementing a number of activities for us, including the Space Camp, which is a recent initiative that we are creating in a pilot phase, attracting more the teenage group, hoping that the student will develop a vocation and hopefully pursue studies. But please, Annabelle, how would you like to bring to the conversation? Tell us more.
Yes, so I would like to pick up of what Joanna said. At university, the students come there and they already love space. And I think the space camps are even here one step before that to generate the love for space. And many people do believe that you need to be an astronaut or like this super science genius to join the space industry, which is not the case. There are so many opportunities, and space is basically integrated in all parts of our life, in many industries. And I think that is what is mislooked at and interesting for people, but it's touching our everyday lives. We all kind of have a connection to space. And I think that is what we can teach already at a very young age. So the target group of 14 to 18 years old during the space camps, where we do include educational parts in relation to space for all. How is space affecting our lives here on Earth? And from there on, we can generate this different picture about space. That's not only science and rockets and satellites, but also the space data facilitating life here on Earth and touching all kinds of industries. So yeah, I'm very confident that the space camps, which are launched this year for the first time across 7 different locations in the EU, will touch many people's young lives and hopefully spark the love for space, but also to then continue to engage with the sector.
Yes, and Annabelle, I will stay with you just a bit more because, again, the Space Camp has been launched as a pilot initiative and it's going to take place throughout the summer in 7 different locations, including one here in Poland. Can you tell us a bit more to the audience as well, just
Yes.
to let everyone aware, including the fact that the application to be part and enroll in the Space Camp is open now, correct?
Okay. Yes.
Please.
So yeah, I will tell you more about the Space Camp in Poland. In fact, Poland has a very distinct approach for the Space Camp. So it's not only in one location, but in 4 locations across your country. And I created a small cheat sheet to be sure to be pronouncing the locations correct. So it will be actually held in Rzeszów, starting at the university, where the students will learn about space in general and get an introduction to who are the actors in space, what can be done with space, to familiarize themselves with the industry. And from there, the students move on to Besmajova, to an observatory where they have the chance to launch their rockets and build balloons and launch them into the stratosphere. So then it gets very practical from what is possible to making it possible. And then they move on to Stalova Vola. And that is where they will be working on real-life space projects. So they actually engage in a mini hackathon. They will be posed challenges on how space can solve certain space data, can solve certain things that we face here on the planet. And then they will be working on that a couple of days, concluding in a final event and award ceremony where they pitch these ideas. And to conclude the event, they go to Krakow for the EU Space Rover Challenge. So touching all the parts of space, and I think the students can really see a great overview of the possibilities in space.
I think this is amazing, an amazing program, and hopefully we will have many applicants from Poland to apply, because it's also, if I remember...
Some of them are in English, but the one in Poland is in Polish, and the dates are actually the 22 to the 29th of August. Lasting for 8 days. And you can register on the Cassini Space Camp's website if you're interested.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot, Annabelle. Now, so we moved, let's move from the teenage group to a higher, let's say, group, which is, and we have, like to bring you to the discussion, Regina, in your capacity as mentor, not only for the academy, but also for the hackathon that attracts a lot of graduates or students from higher education. So do you think that the students that you advise, right, that you mentor, have the necessary skill to come into a career in the space sector? Or please, what would you like to bring also to the discussion?
Happy to share my experience. Just maybe going back to the hackathons before, all of the towns that we mentioned are in my home region, so please come to the hackathon. It's a great part of the world.
Space camp. Space camp.
Space camp.
Yeah.
Space camp. Yes. About the skills. I mean, it's of course a big topic, and I don't think that being ready for the job market is only the space problem. I think it's just in general the education that needs to be a little bit shifted, because we live in very interesting times right now. So we are facing now the next digital revolution with generative AI. And honestly, the same as the space solutions are starting to look very differently, which was what was possible 10 years back. It's also what follows is that different skills are needed on the market. And to be very frank, we all learn. Also, as you know, already the experienced people in the space sector, I've been here for 15 years, and you know, the discussions and kind of the operational solutions on the market looked very, very different. So it is a very lifelong learning, also for us as adults. What I also find very important is that we learn from the young generation. And we learn their tools, how they communicate, and we learn, what actually is appealing for them. Because, we kind of tend to stay very charismatic in the space sector. So there are events that are kind of for space people. However, just behind us, there is this wall that divides us from the most innovative startups in Central and Eastern Europe. And I think this panel should actually be there to just address it to them. As it comes to skills themselves, I think like in any other sector, what is very important to kind of navigate and flourish among the young generation is basically the creativity, openness, critical thinking, and also this kind of way of structuring the ideas. So something, how to package their solutions, how to sell it, how to go to the market, how to think about the users. And I think it's a kind of lifelong learning for all of us. And we as experienced people in the industry should just support the young.
Anyone, if they agree or they disagree with what Regina said, you will will think for yourself. But I would like to bring back Joanna into the discussion, because what Regina said, this, let's say, lack of communication between the two words, obviously, yes, is something that very much starts in education. And from a university representative, and as well the fact that in AGH, University of Krakow, you have also set up very recently a space technology faculty, and you're the vice dean, of course. So can you tell us a bit more, because how do you integrate the other sectors in your curricula, if you do or not? Because again, I agree to also what Annabelle was saying, that space is not only rocket science. Yeah, there's a huge word. I mean, we've seen it also throughout the conference today. Space application can potentially apply to every sector of society. So there is a link there to be made, which is very important. And the second question, if I may, is how do you make sure that you upskill your students with the necessary knowledge and competencies that whenever they reach the job market, they're operational from day one? So do you have already foreseen some, partnership with the local companies or with the international companies, also in the curriculum design or something? Please.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question.
Long question.
A long question, but a very valid one. And to give you a short answer, and then I will give a longer one. Short answer is we do it all. So this is why we are a very, very hard-working bunch, and we do a lot of stuff. But starting from what you mentioned, how we show the variety of skills. Well, first is the hiring decision. So who do we hire when we started a new faculty? So we have very, very diverse staff. So we have people from materials, nanomaterials. They are now designing the specific materials for Sławomir Gdański, who is our Polish astronaut who will go to ISS in next month. So we have an experiment with nanomaterials. We have biologists, space biologists, who are doing research on kombucha and cellulose. So what can we send into space to grow materials for use? We have recent PhD doctorate did a PhD about putting bees in space, right? So if can we send bees into space in order to pollinate crops? We have lawyers working on cybersecurity of satellite data. Of course, we have engineers building rovers, balloons, and we have 3D printing specialists who will print the buildings using regolith without any water. We have psychologists, sociologists, educational teachers. So basically, by hiring this wide range of specialists, we also show can choose from 3 specializations: upstream, downstream, and biomedical. But also they are obliged and encouraged to take courses like science communication, or presenting your research, or sustainability of your research, right? Teamwork, dealing with stress, dealing with failure, which is, I think, also skills of the future, because this is, we live in space, is the culture of success. We only talk about great missions and wonderful accomplishments, but this is work when you fail a lot, right? So you need to learn how to deal with the pressure and with setbacks. So this is one part of your question.
This is also a little bit a mindset, European mindset, that this test and fail approach, that maybe
fail fast, right? And go on, move on.
Yeah, no, indeed.
And your second part of your question was about collaborating with companies, and we do it actually already, even though it's only month 2 of our operating. So we have meetings with representatives of companies happening right now all the time, every week. Last week we have a company called IRIS², so satellite observations. Yesterday, CEO of Airbus visited students. So we have a full schedule already, showing students, please look, we have companies who are looking to hire new graduates. and this is also to converse with them. What kind of skills are you looking for in your workforce of the future? Because now is the time to make some adjustments. We can include those abilities into the curriculum. So
I think it's very important to what you said before, to show and pass as a message that anyone could work in space. If you studied psychology, if you studied law, economics, etc. Really, space is for everyone. Yeah. But also the fact that you're open already with engaging with companies and hopefully adapt the curriculum based on the needs, because ultimately the companies are the one that will hire most of the future the future graduates. So maybe I'd like to move to again Zoltan, because you mentioned also you were part of the Students' Association. So how important is having a student association? Because again, it may not be in every university of Europe dedicated to space activities or filled with students passionate about space. So how is it important? Share your experience, please.
Yes, before answering that question, I wanted to add an additional comment to the previous discussion regarding young professionals, young graduates joining space industry, those who are really enthusiastic, that started thinking about space early on from their childhood. They really have to manage their expectations, radiation dosimetry system. And for them, at first it may sound boring, like I want to work on rockets, I want to work on large satellites, great. But it's also important for them to make it visible that if I just told him or her that, yeah, it's a radiation dosimetry system, it might seem boring, but if I get into details and start explaining this will be on board a spacecraft that will go all the way to Mars, collect samples from Mars and return to Earth, which has never been done before in humankind, then it instantly becomes interesting. So it's also a responsibility and it becomes particularly important for SMEs, smaller companies like us, for them to
it's about communicating. How do
exactly,
you pitch in a way the idea?
Yeah, and now to answer your original question, I find it really, really important for student organizations to exist, because when we founded our student organization called BME Suborbitals, we took a look at across Europe and saw that most of the major universities had their own teams, but none in Hungary. And we were the first one to found one in Budapest, which was great because we had adequate funding, resources, teacher support from academia. And we saw that there was an initiative or will for universities located outside of Budapest, on the countryside, from other larger cities, but they did not have the adequate resources that we were fortunate enough to have. And now I look back, right now there are 5 or even 6 teams from other universities. So there is a huge will for these associations to exist, because part of our major founding goal was to give students, especially at universities where there's no dedicated course or faculty for space industry, to give them an opportunity to work on real-life space projects that could grant them real-life experience, which could be beneficial for their future. And once they step into the labor market, that they will be productive, almost productive from day one.
Thank you, Zoltan. It's very good. Now, moving on, the Students' Association to the, let's say, the hackathons, and Regina, you are a bit more experienced, and you can share, of course, your experience with us, at least in what it is like to be a mentor for a young group of students. What can be improved as well? We are organizing through Cassini regular challenges, hackathon challenges that take place simultaneously in various locations. And then there is a final event regrouping all the winners of the different locations to select those that will also continue the mentoring program. And on this, I have two questions, not only for you, but really also for the other panelists. So, for you specifically, is different sectors or that are transitioning to the space sector or other. And again, this is open to the other as well. How important is collaboration with other countries, with entities from other countries? Voilà, please, if you want to start.
Thank you for the question. So starting with hackathons, hackathons is a really great form for actually everyone that has any crazy idea to come and test it with other people and check whether it makes sense or not. It's a fantastic opportunity to just have no limit in ideas, but at the same time verify it with other people and make it happen in a very short time under time pressure. But time pressure is the best to actually do something fast and kind of test it. So it's a great pleasure to work with the groups of people that come from absolutely not space sector. They are just young people that have ideas, sometimes more mature, sometimes absolutely out of the box. But this is the idea of hackathons, that just basically to just have no limit of creativity and then just make it a little bit more tangible. And believe me, there are a lot of ideas that come out and mature into companies after this hackathons, because it's also your second question about the collaboration is that you come to a hackathon and you find people that actually have the similar mindset, similar ideas, and usually, no idea can be realized alone, or it's very difficult, at least if there are ambitious ideas, to realize it alone. And yeah, hackathon is a great platform to just start something and do it. And on a little bit broader scale, of course, collaboration and partnerships is something I would say the number one skill in the space sector and in any sector actually nowadays. That's something that we should definitely promote and have the open minds, and that should start actually in primary school, where kids should be taught how to work in groups, how to work in projects, how to collaborate also with other schools, also internationally, and just learn from each other and just create something together. And it never stops, because once I've been in research, public institutions, and commercial sector. It's always about collaboration, and it's always about this. And seriously, this is the top one skill in the space sector and any other, and especially right now that it cannot be automatized, it cannot be replaced by technology. It's something that we will always need to learn and improve.
Thank you, Regina. Before I let the other panelists jump in, I would also like to remind to you and all the audience that we have also in 2023 launched a large-scale skills partnership dedicated to space data, services and application, which is it's a union initiative underpinned by the flagship of the Pact for Skills, which, as I said before, main vocation is really to create Pact for Skill is implemented is through large-scale skill partnership. One of these is the one on Space for Geo partnership, which started, as I said, was launched in 2023, and it has grown up until now to reach more than 70 members. It's basically a network of partners. Okay. And there are many, obviously, benefits of being associated to this network, including meeting like-minded partners and hopefully come into, a partnership and create joint initiative together, which is what we're witnessing right now. So keep that in mind. Space for Geo, it's open to anyone to join also this partnership. But speaking of partnership now, I like Joanna to also share your experience also with from a university perspective, and another union initiative that we have, which is the European University Alliances. And we have one dedicated alliance of regrouping 7 European universities, which is called UniverSay. Please, tell us more. I'm not going to spoil it to the audience.
Okay.
And tell us what's also the importance of being in partnership with other universities.
Yes, so this is a wonderful initiative that has been going on for 4 years already, and we got the funding for next 3 years, funded by European Commission. So we have a partnership of 7 European universities from Poland, Germany, France, Sweden, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Italy. And the goal of this partnership is to create basically teaching curriculum for those universities to teach students about various aspects of space. And the goal is for students to have joint programs, so they can study a year in Germany, a semester in Italy, a semester in France, etc., and gather this wholesome education. So we do a lot of things in this partnership. And it's truly amazing. Also, maybe to circle back to your previous question about how important is the international collaboration, it does miracles, because for students to have so many opportunities to go abroad, to have funding, to take part in hackathons, summer schools, winter schools, they go to Kiruna, to Arctic Pole for a Arctic school. They come to Krakow to visit our habitats. They go to the habitat for a few days. So they have really great experiences, and they break those cultural barriers, that they can interact with students in different language, that they get accustomed to this fact, as Regina said, that it's unavoidable. So we in space sector, we need to learn how to work with different people, with different attitudes, different interests, different cultures, different expectations. So also, as you said, that we are hoping that AI will solve this problem for us, and we will not have to deal with people issues anymore. But first of all, it's not possible. And second of all, we don't want that. Trust me, I'm a psychologist by training. We don't want that. We don't want to get rid of this social component, because we will be very miserable, and we don't really appreciate how much we need social context. Of course, it's problematic, right?
Yes. Message of hope.
Yeah. But this is what gives us a lot of also opportunities and fun and pleasure to collaborate. So definitely it's a goal to achieve. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to Anna, Annabelle, and Zoltan. Please, Annabelle.
Yes, so what I would like to say, kind of connecting to what we've heard from all of us, is the pool of these initiatives that exist, which are amazing. And if you look at it in total, it's like generating this entire journey, now starting at 14 to 8 years old, going to the university students, and then mentoring for during the career or for making your projects come reality. Then we have the Cassini matchmaking and other things once you've already your SME and idea in place. However, I think what's important to mention here is that this journey doesn't have to be lived step by step. So even if you missed going to the space camps when you were 14 to 18 years old, or you missed your student activities in student associations, choosing a space technology study course, or not participating in initiatives back then, you can always join the space industry, independently of what you've done before, because it touches every area and every type of person, whether it's a scientist, an astronaut, or even a business person, a law-related person, policy person, creative person, is welcome in the industry. And maybe that's where we could also integrate it more and create initiatives for professionals to integrate later on in the industry. So for example, what could be an initiative is boot camps for adults that are working already, completely unrelated to the space industry, to then learn about the potentials and maybe transfer at a later point in stage. Because you can always join, no matter how early on you engaged with it. And it, I think, relates directly to what you mentioned, Mavi, in the beginning, the lifelong learning.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Annabelle. Very nice message indeed. And I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. Myself, by formation, I had no clue about space, so I joined bit, like that, by surprise. But indeed, space is open to everyone. You're absolutely right what you said. You're already anticipated my next question, so I will move to Zoltan. Would you like to add some other elements to the discussion?
Maybe
on the
just
importance of the partnership.
Maybe just that you also mentioned integrating these programs, and from what I see from someone outside the space industry, there are multiple programs, initiatives by ESA, EUSPA, CANSAT, UROC, Rexus, Baxus, just to name a few, because someone from the outside, from not yet working in the space industry, she or he can feel lost, like how are these connected, what can I do after this, or like what you just mentioned, if I miss this, can I still do that? And it's not obvious. For us it is, but it not always is, because it's not written anywhere.
Thank you so much. So now so we have presented already a number of initiatives that we have already that we have launched, but perhaps, and also after this discussion, as Annabelle already mentioned, a boot camp for professionals, yes. Can you think of other initiatives that could be developed to bridge the gap? Obviously, we have, as far as the union is concerned, we've launched dedicated initiative starting from the teenage group, moving on to the hackathon. So for the young graduate, the Space Career Launchpad, we have Universe as well for alliances of universities. So what's missing? What should we do more? And by us, I don't mean just the European institutions, but really the whole sector, the whole stakeholders that are concerned. What is missing there? What should we, which area? I think, Regina, you already said that it's important to start from an early age, from children, to spark an interest already in space. So, in your opinion, I'd like to reflect on what can we do more, because we need to be able to fill the gap in the near future. So we have to start now.
Well, I have only one very simple thing that I think should all do, is to promote more. So if companies want to sell a product, they do ads, they promote, they implement their products into movies, into series, they locate the product. We need to do the same with our product, which is space education. So we need to showcase how fun it is, how approachable it is, maybe do a series about it, maybe make a commercial. So for me, it would be, we have the capacity, we have, as you said, so much offers, so many offers from different age groups, from children to adults. We are doing a lot, all of us, but now we need to maybe put more emphasis and invite those skilled people in promotion to show it all how fun and exciting it is. So that would be my proposal.
I have many ideas, and of course it's a big topic, so it's not and there is already so much actually being done by the Commission and other initiatives in the education. I think what I see as starting from early age, but also encouraging a lot the interdisciplinary kind of exchange. So, for example, at any space event, to just, for example, invite an energy expert or a farmer that would actually say, okay, this is how we are using this, and an acceleration program focused on space. It should also go to the industry kind of that it addresses and not just stays in this space label. This is absolutely necessary. And I really liked what Jana said about the initiative to invite kind of the leaders in space to inspire the students, because it's so important. Like, just to give you two examples, very successful
role models,
like someone that they can look up for and think like, okay, I want to be this person in the future. This is very inspiring. Like, ISI started at the university, it's such a success story. Another one, Aurora Tech, a big developing company right now in very dynamically from Germany, is also a university project, and it's just two, and there are so many others. So, inspiring and creating role models for the young people, and even for the adults, is very, very important.
Yeah, indeed, because again, as I said, it goes on to the reskilling of professional and attracting them from other sectors. So, in a way, it's also bringing space out of the space bubble, because again, we are in a little bubble. So, okay, very good, Zoltan.
It's difficult for me to chime in after so many great ideas. I feel like
ideas are always welcome.
Yeah, I would like to emphasize as well visibility, which is really important. I think, as we discussed previously, and in connection with visibility, just to reflect on my previous point, is to maybe give some sort of a guideline, a map of all these opportunities that we have right now, like sort of like a guidebook that's available for us, that not necessarily visible right now, but it can be attainable because it's within your reach. You just don't know about it.
So you mean like a compass, basically?
Yes, exactly.
But for us, whom? In which capacity are you talking now? As a young professional, or as a student? So for whom, really?
For
at which age, or is it covering all the age groups?
Ideally, it would be best if it would cover the entire spectrum of age, but I know that we do have to start somewhere, and maybe the closest could be is those that are stepping into the labor market or right a few years prior to that, so they can dip their toes into the space industry with little projects, and they can start experiencing whether they like it actually or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. Annabelle, can you already mentioned a very nice idea, so the boot camp. Do you have other ideas, or can you also develop a bit more the boot camp? Because we may think about that. It's a very interesting one.
Yes, thanks, Mami. So to go back to the initial question, what's missing? I don't think, although I have some ideas and we all have some ideas, that that is the main question to focus them. And I think the next step for that, rather to expand the tool pool, is to intensify the tool pool and integrate it more. So Regina mentioned we should be talking on the other stage, not on the isolated space stage. I agree. And I think that is how we can scale up the initiatives that are already in place and integrate them across many different sectors. And also, like you mentioned, this journey that is created, there is a journey in place. And a boot camp or something could enhance it. But let's also make sure that once you join that journey, that you keep on engaging with it. So you don't join an initiative isolated. You really are taking on the hand to be moved through that journey to create some type of conversion, to not only participate and we have the awareness created, but to then get that into action for the people to then actually become involved in the space industry and become active.
I think to sum up a little bit what the ideas I think all of us working in the space industry, we should ultimately be all space ambassadors. Okay, and do our best also to inspire, also the younger generation. Because again, for me, I will also share a bit my view. We have initiated now the space camp, which is targeting already teenagers, but you have to make sure that before they are in school, they know already what is space about, so that they get interested and say, let's have a look what is the space camp or whatever. So I think there is also a role to play in the lower education, elementary, and or kids, as you were saying, Regina. So I think we only have a few minutes, 5 minutes, 4. Okay, so 4 minutes. It means 1 minute each. I would like to hear your final thoughts about what do you see. The space. Opportunities and I think just a concluding message from each of you.
Thank you, Mavi. So my concluding thought would be this is wonderful that we met here today. So I'm very happy to have met you all, and hopefully events like this and others similar will make it happen. As you said, us being the ambassadors. So this is why such events are so wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah, maybe as a summary, I will share a story. I had a presentation in the kindergarten of my kids quite recently. I needed to present to kids that were from the age of 3 till 6, which probably was the most difficult presentation in my life. And I got a lot of questions at the end of this presentation. And one question was, is your job sometimes boring? Which I honestly said, yes, it is also sometimes boring, like every job. And then there was a question, what do you do then? And then I said, I then speak with my colleagues, which I really love because it's such an inspiring community. And the second question was from a small girl. She was 4.5, I think. I was like, yeah, you are very right. And she said, are they measured in the sun or in the shadow?
Wow.
And I was blown away. I was like, I couldn't answer this question. And then I just maybe as a summary and kind of positive end remark is that there is a lot of space awareness, and kids and young generation, they really love space, and we just need to take advantage of this.
And as you said, there's a lot to learn from kids, as you said
Absolutely.
before. Okay, thanks. Very nice anecdote. Zoltan.
Just a closing remark is that now I see actually quite a few companies where they are mostly focusing on recruiting senior colleagues, seniors from the space industry experts, and they know that in the long term they will require younger generations, but they always say that we have to do that, but our resources are not allocated to that. We need to focus on our key projects, flagship projects, and for that we need seniors, and it's great. Yeah, I understand from the business perspective. But we also need to think about the future generation, the future of space industry. And I know it's a cliche, but I always tend to say this, that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. So we should try to focus on that.
Thank you so much, Zoltan. Annabelle.
Yes, I do believe that it's never too early to engage with space. But when I think about how I got in the industry, similar to you, Mavi, not from my birth days on, it was an ambassador who recruited me, basically saying that you can work in space, although you didn't have touch points in the past. So maybe that's something we all can do, to be those ambassadors and rather talk about space as an enabler for innovation, sustainability, economic growth, rather than a separate area, to then be able to inspire many people to join this industry and the limitless opportunities in almost every field and sector. So I think everybody can have their interests covered to some extent.
Thank you so much, Annabelle. And on this positive final thought, I'd like to thank Joanna, Regina, Zoltan, and again Annabelle for actively participating. And I think we can conclude the session. Thank you very much to all the audience and to those following us online. I think the program for now continues. There is another session just after this one.
Yeah, another session will start. We'll take a moment to set things up, but yeah, maybe let's just give everyone a round of applause here for their contributions. I think it was very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah, as I said, you can just sit tight if you want to see the next session. We'll get started here in just a few minutes. Thank you. Test. Okay, perfect. All right. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So if everyone can have a seat. You don't hear anything? Maybe try to make sure that your device is on. I can hear myself, so. Can everyone in the audience hear me? Yeah? Okay. Okay, perfect. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started with the next session, which is our last session actually for the Agora stage. And in this session, we're going to look at 4 newly launched Horizon projects, right? Focusing on the evolution of Copernicus Services. And we are joined here by Jan Guichou, and he is from Iodin. Yeah? Christos Kontopoulos. He is a CTO of Geosystems, LS, okay. And then we have Simona Zina Metraka, who is with the Foundation for Research and Technology, LS. So welcome. And I will go ahead and hand over to Marko now, Surovic, who will be moderating our session. Marko?
Thank you and welcome to the session about the newest generation of Earth observation, so to say. Copernicus has been recognized internationally as the most advanced Earth observation system in the world, not only by ourselves but also by other spacefaring nations, and we've come a long way. We started with FP7, where Copernicus research was supported, then Horizon 2020, and now we're beyond the half time of Horizon Europe as the 3rd framework program in which Horizon supports the research of Earth observation Copernicus. And so we are here to look back a little bit, I'll in 2 sentences where we've come from, but also to look at what is the cutting edge, what is the fresh off the press print in Earth observation with our projects that were selected from the 2024 Earth observation call. So FP7 established through integrated projects the frame of what is today Copernicus Services. Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe were continuing with very concrete projects that were supporting the development of services that could be used. And we are now, as I said, beyond half of Horizon Europe and have here 4 projects that will tell us what they've been doing. Specifically what we are interested in is to see how those projects are going beyond, or let's say rather narrow area of application, and how there are possibilities for cross-fertilization and usage beyond what one would have imagined a few years ago. So we have 2 projects from the Copernicus Security Services and 2 from the Copernicus Land Monitoring Services. The 2 from the Security Services are AI for COPSEC and THEA, and then Terra and CLMS Cities are for the Land Monitoring Services. I would also like to invite my participants to give a little bit an overview of the company, where they come from, what the company has done, how you have grown into it, just that our audience has also an idea who you are, where you are, what you're focusing on. And so I would like to start with AI for COPSEC and ask you, maritime surveillance is not only a security problem, it's becoming also increasingly a defense issue. Yeah, but I'd like to start with AI and then Thea can come later on. So can you tell us a little bit about your research, how it has evolved, and where do you see spillover effects beyond what you're doing for defense or other applications that you before maybe didn't envisage?
And in the context of AI for COPSEC, we build a project with our partners focusing on the use of AI, space data, and different kind of other data related to ocean observation to provide services to organizations involved in maritime security, whether they are Coast Guard agencies, can be EMSA for the European Maritime Safety Agency, or Frontex, and so on. And all the solutions we are developing are focusing on operational purposes, and I will say more about that in the presentation after.
Okay. Good. Then let's go to Thea. Geospatial data. How do you see the potential to go beyond what you've been doing so far and use it also for defense or security in the broadest sense, given that also the world has changed since we started with Earth observation research more than 15 years ago?
Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction, Marco, and for the question. Indeed, the technological advancements in geospatial data and geospatial data processes are significant during the last few years. So it is of highly importance all the applications you make and the services to have the purpose of dual use. And in this aspect, we do see that in the GeoAI framework, the advancement in artificial intelligence, in machine learning, in these well-trained and established foundation models can be applied for defense, but also for civilian purposes. Some examples like the migration flows or the immigrants, that we need to have applications to protect this kind of people for the extreme environments and the extreme events, can also apply some of such object detection, for example, applications for defense purposes or for reconnaissance of a suspicious, let's say, military force.
So let's move on to Terra. How do you see the potential to go beyond what you're doing into security services and emergency services? Because we had this morning also a panel where emergency has had a big role, and we're given that the environment has changed, also the political situation has changed, security has become an issue in different areas, and all of a sudden we're looking at usages that we never dreamt of 10 years ago.
Good morning, everyone. So, I'm Simone, I'm representing the Terra consortium here, and as a partner of Terra, MIO is a small enterprise located in Italy that has born 21 years ago to overcome what was the data access barrier at that time. And I think that the experience and skills that we put together in these 20 years are already answering somehow to the question that you have raised. We are involved in Destination Earth, in European projects like Terra, is exactly on that path. You mentioned earlier that Copernicus has been established 15 years ago, and it has become operational, but at the same time technology and tools are changing. So what we are sharing within Terra is also our experience across all of these initiatives, and we are proposing state-of-the-art of organizing the data, structuring the data in a way that AI and ML applications can leverage and give an answer in a fastest time to the question.
And then CLMS Cities. You participated in a very successful H2020 project CURE. So CLMS Cities is the next one. How has the EU funding contributed to your research, and what would you expect from it for the future to continue this successful chain of projects? And actually also, how do they build upon each other? Because we all know that standalone projects are not really helpful, given that, what also Simone said, it's a development that one has to follow.
Thank you very much, Marco. Good morning from my side as well. My name is Zina Mitraka. I come from FORTH, the Foundation for Research and Technology, and there is one lab there that's called Remote Sensing Lab, basically doing urban remote sensing. All its aspects, but mostly focusing on the urban climate with an urban resilience, which was also the focus of the first project, CURE, that you were mentioning, and the second one that is now starting the CLMS for Cities project. We are mostly working on adaptation and mitigation of cities to climate change. So CURE had a broader field of research, including many aspects of both adaptation and mitigation, but this 3-year period of one Horizon project is usually small, and we achieve the goals of the project, the objectives of the project, but it's always great to have the opportunity later on to build on that and capitalize on that, as we do now with the CLMS cities. That is a great opportunity now to build upon models that we were developing in the CURE project and now further improve them with more focus on what is urgent, as you said, for the new era and the new situation that we are facing now. So the CLMS Cities project is very much focused on the emission of cities. We have the EU Cities mission that is a very ambitious initiative to achieve net zero emissions in 112 cities. It was 100 originally, now is 112. And CLMS Cities is trying to help those cities achieve those goals, help them with a mission that is evidence-based and not based on inventories or statistical information.
With how many cities are you cooperating?
Ourselves, in this small project, we start with 10. That were the 10 first cities that received the label from the EU Cities mission. But within the project also there is a dedicated work package that we are trying to see how this can be operationalized and actually be expanded to the 12 cities of the mission. And since we are working on Copernicus data, the scope beyond this project, in the very end of this project, after the 3-year period of the project, would be actually to do it for all the cities in Europe, at least the ones that have good Copernicus basis with the Urban Atlas data.
So it's very early because all those projects are from the 24 call, but I would be interested, what are a little bit the points of leverage that you are using when you're working with those cities? What are they thinking about improving? Is it, I don't know, the planning, more green surfaces, directing the traffic, or closing out the traffic, or heating systems, cooling systems? What are a little bit the key, the first ideas that come to your and the city's mind in this approach?
We are now starting the process of actually talking to the cities for those specific issues, but we don't start from the beginning, let's say, because there is already quite a lot of work within the mission. Those 10 cities that we are working with, they already have developed their climate contracts. So there is information there of what the cities are thinking to do. One of the first things that the city is thinking to do to reduce their emissions is first the traffic, and of course regulating the management of the buildings in terms of heating and cooling. And that's what it concerns us for this project, because we are focusing on scope 1 emissions, which are the direct emissions from the city, and then the cities also are trying to implement mitigation actions when it concerns the industry, which is usually not in the cities but around the cities. So these are considered scope 2 emissions, and we very much hope on a next Horizon project later on to be able to incorporate on that as well.
Jan, you are in the maritime area. Who are your clients? What are they asking from you, and what are your, let's say, best-selling products or best-selling services? And what do you need to deliver in the future? Where does your journey go?
From Gdańsk perspective, or from the partners?
From your perspective. From your company's perspective.
Yeah, so we are focusing on the offshore energy sector and the maritime traffic sector, shipping industry. The key services we are delivering, I don't know if you are familiar with it. but it's a tracking system for the marine traffic. And we are transforming any vessel into an ocean current sensor of opportunity just by using AI and this kind of AIS information. And it enables us to deliver real-time information worldwide at the same time. It's a very new technology. And we can then provide insight and information to the offshore energy sector to combat oil spills. Just also working with the public sector in the maritime security domain, especially in the search and rescue domain, because we have a capability to analyze the drift of a man overboard and provide real-time insight about how it drifts, and more focusing the helicopters and the people to get him, to save him. So this is a typical domain we are working on, and this is the growth we have in terms of market traction and new services.
Have you been approached by navies?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So yeah,
no, you don't have to go into details if it's
yeah,
confidential.
It's an interesting point. We are able to deliver information on eddies. So the eddies in the ocean are the signature of a variation of the density of the water, and this variation of the density is modifying the sonar propagation. So we are trying to track a submarine. Getting an knowledge about this eddy location can be very useful for the defense sector. So this is a typical application.
Okay, there seems to be quite an expansion ahead of you, or potentially, depending on what you want. Christos, do you want to lead us through your presentation, or?
Yeah, sure. I have prepared some slides for the activity, for the project itself.
Please.
I'm very happy to be here to present one of the latest Horizon Europe project under this session named THEA, Enhancing Copernicus Security Services for EU Governmental Crisis Management Hub for Forced Population Displacement. Sorry for that.
There we go.
Okay. Okay. Some infos, general infos about the activity. As I said, it's one of the latest topics. We try to discuss and decide which aspects can indeed enhance the Copernicus Security Service. The activity started at the end of 2024 and will span until the mid of 2027, and it's a duration of 30 months under HADEA. About the consortium, the consortium has a distribution all across Europe, but what I want to stress out here is that we have selected partners with great technological capacity, and also entities that have presence in the external borders of Europe, where such of the use cases that I will later on discuss indeed apply. So we have selected Spain, Greece, Cyprus and Poland amongst these countries, but we also include some entities with strong policy and regulation background, apart from the technological one that I mentioned. The overall project scope is to develop the software tools and applications which will enable a more resilient and inclusive society via better informed and integrated emergency response services. Some general other objectives is, of course, to enhance the Copernicus Security Service state to better respond to evolving policies, to create beyond state-of-the-art applications and information tools, to also apply integration techniques with non-space data, and this is a really crucial topic, and to integrate this kind of GeoEye analysis and geo data with a variety of other application-specific data sources. The general ambition is the platform that we will provide to enhance civil security, law enforcement operation and crisis management practices all across the European member states. Our approach begins by specifying the different components, the overall architecture and the use cases to be conducted, to develop some key components such as novel VHR Earth observation products, to integrate data deriving new data set deriving from new space, from small sat missions, from national CubeSat missions and UAS, to integrate this kind of information with ground-based data, federate all these data cubes and data for handling and processing purposes, develop, of course, the machine learning and artificial intelligence tools themselves, and incorporate all this vast information of knowledge via our decision support system and THEA platform. Last but not least, of course, we will have some demonstration and validation practices for the different use cases. And speaking about use cases, to this end we have selected a number of them for the demonstration activities. As I said in the beginning, we want to focus on real-world scenarios that are applicable in the countries that participate. So, for example, the first use case regards the enhanced border and maritime surveillance capabilities in response to migration flows. The second use case has to do with terrestrial surveillance of population displacement. And the third use case has to do with population displacement due to climate change and extreme events, weather events, which is something, concepts of participation of third country areas as well. To discuss about the key added value components that we want to bring to CSS and how we will move forward. During the project we will utilize a diverse set of satellite data, sensor and services, which include VHR optical imaging, thermal data sets, SAR data of course, and optical small sat video. On top of that, we want to build our services as satellite agnostic as possible, in essence that we will deploy micro and pico satellite data set deriving from national missions in order to be used for security operations. We will exploit radio frequency analytics tailored for both maritime and terrestrial use cases, integrate UAV data acquired for operational use cases on the field in situ, and last but not least, to integrate other kind of crowdsourced data such as social media inputs that at some point, at some times, indeed give crucial information about population density and movement. To sum up, the main expected results of the activity is to build our so-called THEA integrated platform as a decision support system to stakeholders that we aspire to provide cybersecure data exchange, seamless data and service integration. Also, it will include data derived from national micro and CubeSat missions, UAV with semi-automated functionalities and ready information, and the inclusion of radio frequency information. All these diverse set of data sets and use cases will hopefully provide significant enhancement to the Copernicus security service.
How easy has it been to get the data from the different sources? I mean, Copernicus is providing them for free, but how cooperative were the other sources?
Yeah, I can say that, of course, we're in the beginning of the activity right now, but we are in a strong position because, as I presented in the beginning, the partnership and the consortium is built on professionals and from well-established entities in the domain that either participate in the national small sat missions, as we are, for example, in Greece, or we have directly cooperation with such organizations. So the task of having VHR small cell data or having the optical video that we have a partner providing such information is really, really crucial to test our beyond of state-of-the-art algorithms to this kind of information.
And I assume that you are testing this with the security police forces or Frontex?
Yeah, Frontex is one of the entrusted entities of the activity, and we do have, alongside with our project officer, strong collaboration to find and define these different use cases that I demonstrated at the beginning.
do you?
We want the objective of the project is, of course, to enhance the capabilities of the CSS. But as I said in the first question, it's general topic. So some applications are of course in the domain of dual use. So, for example, when we have a maritime awareness operational system can be indeed be provided to industry, such as insurance market or the maritime naval market. So it is something that could be explored in the exploitation phase of the activity.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Simone, your company is not the first time in a grant, and you grew from an Italian company to an Italian-Austrian company or Italian company with a subsidiary in Austria. Can you a little bit describe the path, this growth path, and where is Terra in this growth path, and where do you think will it take you beyond Terra?
Let's start from the past and from the history. So I think that the reason we open is because together with the other two shareholders, we were playing soccer together at the university. And we were having fun because during the working day, we were concerned, we had concern about the access to the data. We started with this objective to improve our life, but since the beginning we had in mind that improving our life was also a benefit for all the users that has access to the data. It has been a long path, okay, and we did fail sometime during the path, and it is important to fail because to succeed you learn more from the failures than from the success. We learned project by project, funded by European Space Agency or European Commission, how to move a step ahead, time by time. And during this path, we came across to different application domains. All the times, our main users are researchers. Those people that were complaining a lot about how to get access to the data. You did the question before to Christos. Today, I would say that we are in that path, that data are in the cloud, and there is this expectation that they are available and easy to be accessed. You will see later in one of the slides, there is an under usage of the data in general. So I think Terra is also contributing to that path to make the data not more accessible, but more usable. Yes. But the expectation, at least according to the agenda, I think that I'm the third on the row.
Will someone turn the slides? If not, go back. Is there a way back? Go forward. Let's go forward.
No, it's still.
Then let's.
Okay.
Yeah, go forward. Just forward, and then we'll go back to Jan.
So.
Exactly. We have a sneak preview.
Sorry for that.
Wow.
Okay, thanks. So let's move to the Terra slides finally. I would start from the name of for the acronym of the project. Terra in Italy means land, so I'm sure that you will expect that I will present you applications over the land domain, but just because I want to disattend your expectations, the Terra project is mainly working on climate and water risk challenges. So, but apart from expectations, the acronym that is always a work to find, I think that there is an evidence that today the water is essential to the global economy. I think being here in Gdańsk is also evident that the economy around might be strongly impacted, and there is a need to know more about what the flooding, the sea level rise, and water pollution, and all the other aspects related to that. Among all of these global risks, there is a common need that is to take actions. And you know, we all recognize that Copernicus program exists. We all know that the value of the data that have been made available and that are daily made available are a great value. But I have already mentioned earlier, so data are underutilized. Why? Because at the same time you have to work to exploit the data. The technology is changing and is impacting somehow your experience. And Terra is contributing to this ecosystem, trying to start working on the use cases. I would say none of them were using the Copernicus satellite data before. Okay, so that underutilization will stay underutilized, but is somehow contributing to the user uptake of that challenge. How Terra will address this gap, I think, is not different from what you saw earlier from Theia. Okay, so the general topics are the same, and with the advent of the artificial intelligence, also in this initiative, there is a strong use of such technology. To do what? To do what on a human side takes time, and we try to automate that part as much as we can. The forecasting and the integration of such capability is another aspect that is very relevant to that part. It's important to know what the scenarios will be if you need to take an action. And you see the last point, that is one of the reasons we have been involved, that is about the accessibility and the accuracy of the data that are made available there. So Terra has been presented. You know already that regardless the name, the main focus is on the hydrological monitoring and forecasting and the risk mitigation. Here are some project details. I think what matters more for the presentation today is that we kicked off January this year, and we are in the middle of the requirement definition, defining details that will guide our implementation along the 3-year path. We are a team. We know each other since the kickoff. I think I was not knowing most of the other partners, but I think that what is a key in Terra and in the path is that we started with the good feeling each other. So we are already debating and trying to advance as much as we can, even being in the early stage. We started in January, and Monday we had our third project board meeting. You might recognize the place. Okay, so we took the occasion to came here in Gdańsk and to have the project board meeting just the day before the EU Space Days. So it was a pity, Marco, that you were not aware, but happy to provide additional details later. You see, we are a team. Most probably at the end of the project, we will have a football team match all together. If we go in the bullet list here, you see that the main challenges or topics we are discussing are about the coast line. So how to detect a coast line is a technical activity, but how to monitor the erosion, or even more, how to predict if this coast will be eroded or increase, is one of the challenges behind this project. And there are other that you see in the list, but I think that trying to put on figures what are the demonstrators we are building on. There are three main demonstrators or use cases. I think the coastal change monitoring I have already mentioned. We start thinking very large, but we start working, let's say, step by step. So these three areas are located in Scotland, if you look for the coastal change monitoring. For the water contamination, we do have an area in Greece where there will be a combination of in situ and satellite data to improve and move ahead in the water contamination assessment. Again, here, AI and ML will be exploited because all the accuracy that you can have from the in situ measurements, you cannot have it from the satellite, but the large picture that you can have with a single image, you cannot obtain with ground measurements. And that will be one of the main outcomes. Then I took the occasion, because you asked Marco at the beginning, if what we are working on will also cross-fertilize with other activities. And the illegal activities in harbors, that is the third demonstrator, I think that I'm happy to hear from the colleagues here that now I know the ICE people, because there was a discussion on Monday on how to leverage the ICE data, because there are these dark and bright vessels, because the signal is somewhere lost.
Turned off even.
that you know, it will be our cross-fertilization on that topic. So the goal is to, let's say, follow the path of the vessels and monitor oil spills. So it's very aligned with the other activity, and we will see how you know, the satellite data that were not used yet by this partner will go at the end of the project. The key innovations, I think here I'm not adding any additional topic with respect to the previous presentation, but you see, maybe what is not mentioned earlier is this digital twin scenario, because to understand and to define the action is important to have this ability. Among stakeholders, I think is an open point. At the moment, we are a stakeholder of ourselves because we are still in this early stage of the project.
So, thank you very much. And now I know that Terra relates to the coastal land. That's, I think, the point. But since you already intimed the sea coast theme, I think we should go back and see what Jan has to tell us beyond the sneak preview, and what are the highlights of AI for COPSEC before we then have the finale grande with CLMS cities. I like especially that picture with the sailboat. Guess what I like it to do in my spare time. So, Jan, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much, Marco, for the intro again. I'm here on behalf of all the partners of the AI for GOVSAC project. The project was granted in, with a proposal related to a project for 36 months duration, and the budget was 4 million euros. And we are focusing on the demonstration of the potential of machine learning and AI to improve existing Copernicus services, especially Copernicus security services, using Copernicus marine environmental information. So the focus is on the maritime domain, and we involve 10 partners in the project with good skills and expertise in AI, ocean observation, remote sensing, IT, and operational services. And I will give you more information about these partners and their expertise in the next slide, just to make you touch more concretely the innovation we are proposing in the project. So again, the project was selected in a call which wanted to also to focus on synergies between sensors, not only space data, but the idea was to promote also synergies with IoT and in situ information. So this is what we did in the maritime domain, and this is what you're going to see in the next slide.
Just one question before you move on. I mean, getting in situ data from the maritime area is not easy, and probably the ones who are running those sensors are not are many official places. So you probably had to try quite hard to get them to cooperate with you.
Yeah, so we have skills on that too. So we are able to collect this information. We have created some devices we are able to launch at sea. And we are using, of course, Copernicus Marine Service dataset, including in situ information. And the topic and the core output of the project will be related to 4 use cases. One will be the search and rescue applications to save more life at sea, getting more insight about the ocean behavior and the maritime situation. We will also provide a demonstration on oil spills response, irregular mitigation, and illegal fishing. So these are what we proposed. In terms of ocean observation and anomaly detection, because this is one of the topics we are focusing on the project, we have on board the Università Politecnica della Marche, which is an expert in fusion, maritime data fusion, used to fuse AIS information with SAR images, etc., to track some illegal activities at sea. Here you have just an example of illegal fishing activities they were tracking with their systems. We also involve a French partner called IMT Atlantic, which is a specialist of AI and deep learning, and they are very complementary to the Italian university, because they are experts on data fusion and marine data fusion. So they developed an algorithm called 4D VARNet, which is very well known in the maritime community involved in the Copernicus Marine Service activities, and this is something we will use during the project to merge different kind of information related to ocean observation. In the consortium, we also have a Spanish partner called AIS Tech, which is a specialist of thermal imageries using satellites. So here you can see how they will use their capabilities in terms of ship monitoring. So they are able to track ships using thermal images and thermal signature, and they are also able to track pollutions, oil spills, thanks to their capabilities. And an important point is that they are developing their own constellation, and they will launch their own satellite with an high-resolution thermal sensor by November this year. And this satellite will contribute to the project and will enhance Sentinel capabilities in terms of thermal imaging. In the project, we also propose to use open source information and especially information from social networks. The idea here is to raise alerts when someone tweets something about a situation he saw at sea, and to get early information to operators when they have to manage security issues at sea. So OSINT, which is a partner involved in this task is an expert on AI and web and social network crawling to get information about security issues. In the consortium, we also have Simula, which is leading the consortium. It's a Norwegian laboratory, experts in AI, and they will work on the analysis of AIS and to detect anomalies on ship tracks. This is what you can see on the right image. Here we have a track from a ship trying to cross the Gulf Stream, and he failed in crossing the Gulf Stream due to some strong currents and heavy sea states. And this is at least not an anomaly because it was linked to the environment, but this is a type of detection we can do with the services we are developing. Regarding iodine and called Melody, which is enabling to measure currents, temperature, and waves. This device is going to be deployed massively in the ocean. Here you can see a recent video from ESA showing how they use Melody to calibrate Sentinel-1 because we have capabilities to monitor waves, and this can be useful for satellite calibration. And the other video is showing again how we can provide information on currents, waves, using drifters, complement that with chlorophyll concentration to analyze the ocean circulation, and then provide also information on currents. This is the dark arrows you can see on the top right video, the bottom right video. These are ocean currents iodine is providing.
Just out of curiosity, this is the Mediterranean, but that had some snow, so where was that?
It was in Iceland.
Iceland.
So the campaign is an ongoing campaign, so they are launching Melody drifters, and they are going to Nice for the EGNOS conference, and all along their path they are using the drifters. So this is part of the data we will use during the project. And last but not least, iodine is, as I said, is a specialist of ocean monitoring, and we use a transformative solution. We are using AIS and machine learning to monitor ocean surface currents by transforming any vessel into an ocean current sensor. So the data can be collected using satellites or using coastal receivers. And the bottom right image again is an example of what we get. You can see the ship I was talking about from ESA, and you can see marine traffic and information. And we are transforming this information related to marine traffic into ocean surface currents information. These are the streamlines you can see, overlaid with chlorophyll concentration, and provide very useful information for search and rescue, oil spill response, and also for analytics about anomaly detection.
Crowd data sourcing.
Yeah. Of course, in the project we are also involving end users. So we have Guardia Civil from Spain involved in the project, and the SATSEN, which is acting as an end user on creating a bridge with EMSA, Frontex, and EFCA for the core application we are dealing with. And Magellan Circle is a communication specialist, enabling to communicate more efficiently about the project. And last, we have a partner which is a specialist, which is a Greek partner called ITML, which will act as an integrator in the project. And here the video is showing a drifter trapped in an eddy. The map you can see is currents we are deriving from AS again. And we can then provide very precise drift analysis, whether it is used for search and rescue or, again, oil spill responses. So this is another technological breaks we will use. And we will
comes to migration, I see a bridge between for GOVSAC and Terra when it comes to sea-related issues. So I'm curious where I find the bridge between CLMS cities and the other projects.
We have to move to the land now.
Go a little bit forward.
Forward. So the CLMS Cities project is also an effort of a not so big consortium that we knew each other already since the previous project CURE. Most of us, we were partners there. And we have the municipality of Vitoria-Gasteiz also aboard with us in this effort, because it's the first city that we are working with, and we are also installing instrumentation, and I will tell you more details. We like to begin with this slide, why CLMS cities? Fortunately, in this continent, I don't have to explain why climate change is important and why we need to mitigate for it. And when it comes to cities, then CO2 emission reductions across urban systems require territorial approach that integrates mitigation and sustainable development strategies across space. And when we are discussing space in cities, most efforts and models usually see cities as one unity, but that's not the case because cities are very diverse within them. So when it comes to implementations, these need to be correctly done and governed. So land-based measures can result in not trade-offs with the socioeconomic systems and the ecosystem services. So what CLMS Cities is trying to do is trying to enhance Copernicus Land Monitoring Service with new geospatial information to support the city's mitigation strategies. And as I said already before, what we are focusing in this small project is Scope 1 emissions, which are basically the direct emissions of the cities related to heating and cooling, and related to the traffic, to man-made emissions, and not emissions that are indirect within the city as emissions from the industry around it that is contributing to the emissions of the cities. The concept of CO2 emissions within the cities that we follow is graphically represented in this figure here. There are emissions that are vertical and horizontal. In this project, we cope with vertical emissions of the cities. That is the emission and uptake that you see in the top of this unit. This is one part of the city, one cube. When people are used to see satellite images, we refer to this as one pixel, but eats and sequestrates with the vegetated or water surfaces CO2 emissions. And the whole idea, I heard a lot of AI in the other three projects. The whole idea in this project is physically based, and what we are doing in this project has a very small component of AI and is based on measurements. What you see here is what we call a flux tower, and the instrument there is called the eddy covariance instrumentation along with meteorological stations, and it's basically measuring the CO2 flux within an area that you see in the map outlined with black polygons. That is what we call the footprint of the measurement. That one is in Heraklion that we are based, Forth is based, and this is not a case study for this project because Heraklion is not participating in this EU cities mission, but the whole idea and the concept of CLMS cities started like that. What you see also in the graph there, you see measurements from decomposed measurements, patterns of CO2 emissions between commercial and residential areas in the cities with green and purple respectively. And that's an older publication of a colleague of mine, and mine is missing there, 2019, that he decomposed the signal and he managed to get how much of the emission is attributed basically to the traffic because of the commercial areas that had more traffic during a peak in daytime at noon and in the afternoon, and the residential areas that were basically emitting almost constantly throughout the day. And if we could have lots of instruments in all our cities, then it would be easy for us to monitor the emissions or measure exactly the CO2 emissions sequestrated by the vegetation within our cities. In Heraklion, we have 2 of them in those 2 areas that, as you see in the left-hand side. But that's not the case for all the cities in Europe or even worldwide. Very few instrumentation exists like this in cities in Europe, but also worldwide. So we were lucky to have that in Heraklion, and we were lucky to observe these different patterns, annual patterns, if you see, and daily patterns of emissions. From the 2 different towers, you see very distinct patterns of emissions with red and blue that are attributed, again, as I said, to traffic or to heating and cooling within the city of Heraklion. So the idea here is to use modeling CO2, evaluate CO2 emissions at the local scale, at the neighborhood scale, as I was showing in the graphical illustration in the beginning, so as to have a spatial representation of the CO2 emissions. So the project is contributing by that to the CLMS evolution with a proof of concept that CLMS, that is our baseline data that we use in this project, for urban CO2 monitoring. We will also try to prove, as I said in the beginning, the feasibility of enhanced CLMS to provide the city's mission with spatially disaggregated environmental intelligence, and we will also provide benchmark data for evaluating the greenhouse gases inventories that the cities are developing within the mission to support the mission's objectives. We hope that the method will be replicable to other cities apart from the 10 that are case studies in our project, and the aim of this project is to prove that the method is replicable for the 112 cities, but not only, for all the urban atlas cities, and why not even beyond. I'll try to go a bit faster because I know we are ahead of schedule, so I won't go into detail to the approach of that. You see in the center of the methodology we are following in the project is the CLMS. We are using quite a lot of data, not only for the from the land monitoring service, but also from the climate change service. The ERA 5 are very important input for the meteorology for our cities, for example. And one very important component for the project is the data harmonization and the integration of the data to the local scale, the neighborhood scale, because we want to see intra-city, and it's important to have detailed information for within the cities. Then we have on the left-hand side with the blue, the CO2 emissions modeling that I was explaining. That's where we build on CURE and the approach that we had in the CURE project. And then we have 2 more modeling approaches that we try to combine with the approach of CURE so as to have improved modeling of the CO2 emissions. To do that, we need also ancillary, as we call them, data. We need data from mobility data, that we have a partner that is specialized into that and provide us detailed mobility data for the cities. And as I already said, data from the flax tower to calibrate and evaluate our model and to later try to replicate it without having the in situ data. As I mentioned already, we are in strong collaboration with users. We try to follow all the net zero platform activities, and we are closely talking to them. We have interviews arranged with them, workshops and so on, service to help us out. In the very end, incorporate the information back into the CLMS. And last but not least, we have an evaluation and benchmarking over there, which is might seem straightforward, but it's not, because these are two different ways of us trying to evaluate the existing greenhouse inventories of the cities, the way they are doing the reporting now for the objectives of the mission, because these inventories are purely based on statistical data on cities' emissions. Just a map of the 10 cities we're working on with. These are, as I said already, the cities that received the label from the EU Cities Mission, and basically what that means is that they were a head forward from the other cities, because they already had a plan developed for their climate contract. They had the climate contracts already developed in a very good stage. No detail into the synergies within our project. I don't want to say a lot about the partners, but all of us, we are very well, we have a very good background in defining the different components of the CO2 emission modeling, from buildings, from transportation, from waste, from other sources, and so on, and quite a lot of expertise also for geospatial data and the enhancement of the land monitoring service. So the outcomes of the project just started. I didn't say two details, but we are the last project, probably started something like March 2025, so it's only a couple of months that it's running, to enhance the quality of the efficiency of the CLMS to respond to the policy requirements, included those related to the city missions. A product change that is based on a new paradigm for fusing CLMS, existing products, with all the data that I was mentioning for improved neighborhood scale CO2 emission information for the mission cities. And to use the this improved information for benchmarking for the cities' inventories, that they are based on statistics for the moment for their reporting. And our ultimate goal, that's far beyond the scope of the project, is to prepare the ground for the use of this kind of data and this kind of information for new types of space observation, as for example the upcoming ESA mission CO2M, that is particularly focused on monitoring the greenhouse gas emissions. This is an example of Heraklion, of how we see would give us the information of the CO2 emissions, and in relation and also in discussion with the users of how we plan to do that in the Urban Atlas polygons. I won't go into detail to the other slides because it's already too much. Just a word on our vision on a short term to help the EU cities mission on their very ambitious objectives, and in the long term, as I said already, is to plan for future missions and how we can use space technology in monitoring CO2 from space. And thank you.
Thank you, Zina. Out of the 10 cities, I know that at least 2 are struggling with some serious climate and smog and other problems. The others I don't know so well. So I think this will be super helpful.
We definitely hope so.
Yeah. My takeaway from your presentations is it has never been easy, it has never been simple and straightforward, but it has become more and more complicated what you're doing. Including an AI is like, oh, AI will make our life simpler. I think AI will make it maybe simpler for the users, but not for you, because you are developing things that are getting more and more complex. There are more and more bridges being built. That's the good thing, because you all have to go to the market. You are not doing this just as a hobby. So my last questions to you, if you could reply very shortly, given the ambition that you have, what's your one or what are your two biggest challenges? So in really 2 sentences, the biggest challenge is to go from TRL 6 or 7 to a marketable product. Each of you, what do you see? The 1 or 2 biggest challenges? Very short and to the point.
If I may start, because of the recent project board meeting, what we were debating a lot is what we will expose as Terra. You touched the reproducibility. We have a case that it cannot be extended and reproduced in other places, but it has a value. And then over each of the areas, we have demonstrators. We have the impression to have free sort of services, but we have modules, and there are, first, we have 6 services behind this, so we are moving to free. Then there are modules, and then there are the subcomponents, and each of these has a value. So the main challenge that we currently have is to define what makes sense to be shared with the community, because there will be a benefit on that.
Okay.
For me, it would be the resistance to change in terms of new technology. When you bring something on the market, the customer or the end user need to trust in the solution, and so we need to provide the relevant level of detail about the quality of the information we are promoting. But they also.
First of all, it's innovation. So indeed, we're in this period that the technological advances going on with huge steps. Given the fact that EU competitiveness in space should be one of the key aspects that this kind of projects should address, European competitiveness is something that we need to achieve in order to create innovative products that will be competitive to in the worldwide market. But given the fact that we have these innovative solutions, I would also say that meeting the user requirements, if we have good collaboration and discussions with such entrusted entities, such stakeholders, that they define clear requirements and outcomes for the projects. I think this is the most important aspect, because then you will be in a position to create, to develop software solutions, information solutions that will be important to the market itself.
Sina.
And I will totally agree with the others. One of the most difficult things for us, beyond the technological barriers that we have to face, and cities were never in the spotlight, at least this last 10 years that I work with satellite data for cities, the spatial resolutions were not sufficient, the temporal resolutions were not sufficient. It's becoming better with new sensors and new payloads, but still, I mean, we need the information very detailed and very frequent to monitor these kind of effects. But given that we overcome those limitations, then our biggest problem is to convince the users that what we are producing is something that they can trust and they can work with. And they don't always like that, because they are very much used to doing their reporting, for example, for their emissions in a different way. And when we propose new ways for them to do that, it's not something that it's always welcome.
So you have to show that it works. So thank you for coming to Gdańsk and giving us an insight into the forefront or the cutting edge of Earth observation. And given that my unit is working with all of you, I'm curious to see how things will evolve. Your projects are quite long, as a matter of fact, so we have a long path in front of us. Thanks a lot once more.
Thank you. Thanks.
So thank you very much, all of you, for your participation. I'd like to invite you now to move to the main hall for the concluding remarks, and also there will be a networking lunch that will take place there as well. So again, thank you to the team, the technical team. Thank you to the speakers, the organizers. It was really a great Agora stage here at EU Space Days 2025. Thank you.